Right, everybody. Here we are. I've got Judy Cali on the line with me and Kathleen Boyd, born in the same hospital, uh, 3 years apart. So, ladies, share your similar experiences.
Well, I can only say that I'm delighted Kathy's here, and I'm excited that we're sharing, and I look forward to what she's going to say.
Okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to say, but let's find out. I do have some similar experiences. I mean, it's just amazing. I also felt very young from a very small age to be blessed by the angels, and it sort of carried me through life as well, ups and downs and all around. So it's kind of, it's just, to me, it's just serendipity or synchronicity or something, but I'm very happy to meet you.
Well, you know.
Okay. Kathy, I'm going to lower your hand. The address, you can raise it later on. But let me first of all start by introducing Judy, and then
absolutely. Thank you, Judy. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks, Kat.
Okay. Right. So, Judy, we've discovered you were born in the same hospital as Kathy, the Queens of Angels.
What a blessing.
At the Queens of Angels Hospital. And ever since you were born, you've been experiencing angels. At 3 years old, you were one of the first children to have open heart surgery. And you had your first near-death experience.
Yes,
and you talk about how the Ascended Master Jesus showed you that you would have a new baby brother. And you decided to return to the body. And you started to experience healing energies in both your hands. And you were guided to put hands on people's hearts and send love. And at 7 years old age, you met Dr. Ernest Holmes, founder of the Church of Religious Science at the theater at Reseda, California. And he shared with you the experience of talking to a fly. And you saw glow around his head and knew that he was a very special man indeed. And he explained to you what it was to have divine intelligence. And that what is in us is also in the fly. And this you, Judy, know as to truth, as do I. So your family joined the church and you learned about meditation, positive thinking, energy, and intention of the heart. And you also had a passion to understand the other side and started to read books on mysticism. And Jesus came to you often and said to you that you would be teaching children all over the world. At 8 years of age, you started to teach about God. You are what you think, and deep breathing to children in Sunday school. You realized your passion and mission was to assist other people to remember their own magnificence and truth. You felt God was your best friend and shared that feeling with other children. At 10 years of age, you had a profound experience. You woke up 3 o'clock in the morning and there were 7 holy men in your bedroom all around you. Some of them were wearing robes, some turbans and diapers. And you described it to your mother, and the men were chanting and talking to you. It wasn't until you went to the Paramahansa Yogananda temple in Florida in 2004 and you saw a photograph, 6 photographs of the masters of the temple wall, on the temple wall, and you realized that those were the masters, the council of the sages who had visited you. In your 20s, you read 5 books called The Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East. Many ascended masters made themselves known to you, and you went on to have your first psychic, to see your first psychic, Kenny Kingston, in North Hollywood, California. In your 30s, Judy, you read with Sai Baba of India and experienced the Vibhuti experience of the healing ash that he exudes from his body and for his devotees. You also were deeply drawn to dolphin and whale energy, and you included them in your prayer work. In Sedona, Arizona, at a psychic workshop with Dick Stupin You went to Bell Canyon and saw dolphins leaping and swimming all around you. And you had this heart's desire to swim with wild dolphins, and that is still there. And your mission for our planet Earth is to become clear and to have them show you, Judy, the encoded wisdom that you have of this rainbow of all healing colors from both sides of the veil. In your 40s, Judy, you continued your meditating for several hours in personal understanding of how the life works. In your 50s, much of your life fell apart, but you recovered from all of that. And you have a passion to understand heaven and spiritual wisdom and to share it with everybody. Up to now, you've had 4 near-death experiences, and you believe that everyone is encoded within our hearts at birth. And our job is to wake up and remember who we are as one family, and that we are actually everything. And you, I know, are going to talk about the Lemurian high priest of Telos, Adama, of the inner world, inner earth, and the work that you did with him, or continue to do with him in Mount Shasta. So Judy, please introduce yourself and say something to my audience.
It is so wonderful to be here. And I really thank Joshi for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to touch hearts all over the world that I may not have touched. And is that not what we're here for? For our sacred heart to touch all those sacred hearts we're here to touch in the world. And for all those sacred hearts that are here to touch us. And the perfect contacts and connections are made. And we honor the gift of our heart that only we have to share, that nobody else is here to share. And so my particular experience in life has had sacred very clearly written all over it from the time I was a little girl. And for most of the time, I didn't have anybody I could discuss it with. I was blessed that my mom had been raised Catholic by herself. She was in show business for 25 years, and she chose to become a Catholic, and she went to Catholic churches and things for about 5 years. And then they told her she couldn't come anymore because she wore costumes underneath her coat, like being a hula girl and things like that. And they told her this was indecent. So my mom was heartbroken. So she started checking out all the different religions. And by the time I was born, my mother was studying Rosicrucian. And my mother said to me, I don't want you raised with a religion. I want you raised with a philosophy of life that will serve you. And then as an adult, if you find you're attracted to one type of thinking or one type of church or one type of religion over another, then you can make that conscious choice yourself. But she said, for now, I just want you to have an opportunity to understand some things about life so you can figure it out for yourself. And I always thought, when I looked back at it, how open-minded my mother was and how amazing that she came from such a loving place and such a respectful place to give me the opportunity to choose for myself. My father was raised Christian Science, and so I was around a metaphysical understanding through both parents. And my experience in my life, what I loved about religious science was at the time, anything I had a question about, it answered it. I was absolutely delighted that I could figure it out. I could read about it. I was guided where to go and how to get that understanding. I didn't realize until I was older what a special gift it was to be given the insight through Ernest Holmes directly. He passed when I was 13, and I always just had this very special place in my heart for him. I still do. And he was an amazing man. And because I'd had open heart surgery, and I was one of the first children in 1949, it stunted my growth for 4 years. And nobody knew if I was ever going to get taller or if this was just a side effect of having open heart surgery. So my grandfather and my grandmother, who had also been in vaudeville, my grandfather was a piano player, and my grandmother was also a dancer. My grandfather took me at 4 years old to meet the midgets and the dwarfs. And I met all these different midgets and dwarfs. And my grandfather said to me, I just want you to know that if you end up not getting any bigger, there are other people in the world like you. So now we fast forward to my journey with Diane Robbins. And I was asked when I lived in Massachusetts, I had a young woman that I call my daughter of the heart. Her name was Suzanne, and she was very gifted communicating with star brothers and sisters. And we would share with each other all the time our feelings. And one day she came to me and said the trees in Mount Shasta had contacted her. And she said, I'm feeling the call to go to Mount Shasta. And she said, I have a friend who I've been asking if she would like to go with me. And she said she's been hemming and hawing and not sure and may come and may not come. And so she said, I'm not sure exactly when I'm leaving, but she said, I know it'll be in the next 2 weeks. And I knew, because I was doing healing at a church at that time, and I was part of a free floating healing center of 12 people, and we would go to 4 states once a month and do free healing to anybody that walked in the door. And so I was doing healing work on somebody, and I finished. And so here I am in the hallway as Suzanne's explaining to me that the trees contacted her, and she doesn't understand what they need from her, but she knows she needs to go. And I instantly realized I needed to go too. Mount Shasta was speaking to my heart as well. I handed her my credit card. I said, I don't have the money to go, but I'll put it on my credit card, and will you make all the flight arrangements for me? And she did. Then we ended up, 3 of us flew into Sacramento, rented a car, and we started into Mount Shasta. And Mount Shasta has a huge highway that takes you up the mountain. And I was sitting in the back seat. And as we're driving up the mountain, I'm seeing the 3 of us as little Lemurian children with little navy blue kimonos that were above the knee. We had those chubby little legs. We had blunt, short, black cut hair. And we were playing up and down the mountain. And I realized how happy we were. We were so happy. I was stunned at the freedom and the delight and the freedom of movement and the joy I could feel from these children, which was us. And so I told the 2 women in the car what I was seeing. And on the plane, one of the ladies had handed me a channeling by a Dama. And she's a channeler. Her name is Lois. And I was so pulled by what I read that a Dama had written, I wanted more. So I said to her, could you please send me the link or more ways to contact the person that channels this information? And she said, I will, but she never did. So we went that night into the motel room, and Suzanne and I had one room, and Lois had another. And Lois came in the room, and she said, Adama's asking me for us to work with him. And so we sat in the room, and then Suzanne, about an hour before, had gone up to the trees and had asked the trees what was it they needed from us. And they said, we've had no water in 6 months, and we need help. And so Suzanne came back to the hotel room. We all sat in a circle, and we did a prayer to bring in water for the trees and for the plant life. And I'm happy to say it rained the next day. But that night, we did work with a Dama. It was my first time working with a Dama. And this was in 2001, I want to say. And we did grid work. He asked us to do grid work. And it was wonderful. It was exhilarating. And I could feel such serenity in the heart of a Dama when I was interacting with him. I tried for 3 years to find additional information, and I didn't find any. And one day I was looking through a Sedona journal, and all of a sudden my guide said, look in the back of the book where the ads are. And I never did that. It just wasn't something I did. So I happened to look in the back, and here in the right-hand corner, at the top of the page, was a business card, a short ad for Talos. And it was about Diane Robbins' book. And I was so excited that the first thing I did is I got on the phone right then and there, and I called her. And when I got her on the phone, she was explaining to me that she was walking back and forth in her dining area. She was in a lot of pain. And she said, you know, my legs are bothering me. They're on fire. I'm eating my cereal, walking with you, so I'm sorry that that's the way I have to talk with you. And she started telling me a little bit about what she'd been going through. She'd been going to a chiropractor twice a day. She was constantly out of alignment. She was in a lot of pain. And in the middle of her talking to me, my guide said to me, she's your sister from Atlantis, and you need to go up and take care of her for 10 days. And I was stunned because I didn't know her. I'd never met her. She's just a voice on the other end of the phone. We've had a 5-minute conversation. And so I said to her, Diane, I said, my guides are telling me, and I told her what my guides told me, and she started to cry. And she said, really? And I said, yes, check in for yourself. And I said, you know, one of the gifts I have is I carry from both sides of the veil all the healing colors in a rainbow. And she burst into tears and she said, my God, you're the rainbow. And I said, what are you talking about? And this was on a Wednesday morning. And she said, Monday night, I went to the chiropractor for the second time that day, and I was still in pain. And she said, I pulled over to the side of the road, and I said to God, I can't take this anymore. You need to send me somebody to help. And she said, I've lived in Rochester, New York for many, 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 many years. And she said, I've never seen a rainbow. And she said, Monday night after I said this, the whole sky filled with a rainbow. And she said, you're the rainbow. And I was so deeply touched. I was, even to this day, I was so deeply touched. And so I said to her, I will come and I will spend 10 days with you, and I will do everything I can to help you. So I drove from Massachusetts to upstate New York. I stayed for 10 days. I did work on her every day. And about the third day I was there, a book came, a big box of her book, her third book, which is called Hollow Earth. And Diane couldn't lift it, and she couldn't lift anything. She couldn't even work on the computer. It was too painful in her arms. And so the box, I had the mailman bring the box in. I opened the box for her. She couldn't open the box. She picks out a book, and she says to me, here, you might want to take this and read this. And so we opened all the books. I also asked her if she had any correspondence that she wasn't able to answer, and she brought out a couple of boxes of correspondence, and I took care of that while I was there. And then she handed me the book, and so I went in the room and I read it, and tears were streaming down my face when I saw the face of Nikos, the head librarian of Pathologos, because I knew his soul, and I knew my soul knew this being very, very well. And so I came back out and I told Diane what I experienced. I taught her a little song on my way when I was leaving, which she and I still laugh about today, and I'm going to sing it for you. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. And I am fantastic. And that was the last thing I said to her as we're approaching the on-ramp of the freeway. And I'm talking in my phone to her, and I sang that to her. And I said, whenever you feel sad, Diane, and you feel in pain, start singing this happy little song. And I had to laugh because when I got home, it was like 3 or 4 hour drive. I got home, and she sang the song on my messenger on my phone perfectly. So so I knew she had gotten it. And that's how Diane and I became friends. And when Diane was getting ready to leave New York, she got a message from the mountain, Mount Shasta, and it said, come home. You need to be here. And she was apprehensive, with her health, and she had a 2-story house, and she wasn't quite sure what to do, and her children were in Florida, or her daughter and family were in Florida. And my guidance said, you don't go to Florida. Where family is, you go straight to the mountain. And she listened. And she went straight to the mountain. And when she got there, the mountain said, you're never to leave. This is your home. And she has never left. So Diane and I have had a beautiful relationship. I deeply believe in the work she does. And Diane's ego is not attached to her work. And so when she channels on the 5 books that we're going to talk about today, Cetaceans, Telos, Hollow Earth, Tree Talk, and Crystal Kingdom. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, guys, carry on. I'm more than happy for you to.
Oh, okay. And so when I had an opportunity to live in Mount Shasta, because about 7 years ago, Adama contacted me, and he said, would you consider coming up here to Mount Shasta and help form a community called Heart to Heart? And I said, yes. And he said, in about 2 years. Then he came back a couple months later and said, in about a year. Then he came back and said, in a couple of months. Then he came back and said, would you go now? And I said, yes. So I took everything that I had. My daughter and I and another roommate had a lease. It was up, perfect timing. My roommate went to Hawaii. My daughter moved in with a friend. And I went up to Mount Shasta. I took only what I could fit in my car. I gave everything else away. I shipped about 20 cartons. And when I got there, I was there for only 6 months. I was originally meant to be there for 3 years. And I did the work I needed to do, and I completed what Adama sent me to do. And what I felt I was there to do was to help share with people how to live their life sacred heart to sacred heart. I didn't feel it was about people living under one roof. I felt it was about connecting from heart to heart.
So can you describe how somebody from the audience who wants to live more from the sacred heart would start to do that?
Well, first you breathe. And breath is such a simple way, because through breath, even 3 or 4 breaths, it will take you directly into your heart.
Right.
And
so
you have 3
stop.
hearts. Pardon?
Right. You stop, take a deep breath, 3 breaths, and you come into the present
know
moment.
that after a couple breaths, it'll start taking you into your heart. And once you're in your heart, you have 3 hearts. Not everybody knows that. You have a human heart when you're in human form, and you have a chakra heart when you're in form. We're living all of our lives now. There's no past, there's no future. And we're living lives as every form of life. We're living lives as animals and mountain ranges and planets and star systems and trees and beetles and rivers and oceans and clouds and rainbows. We're living lives as every form of life. And so when we have an opportunity to breathe, our sacred heart is what's called your high heart. And that's your immortal heart. And that's your heart that's connected to the heart of creation and the heart of Creator. So as you're breathing, your connecting point is the base of your throat. It's that little hollow space at the base of your throat. Now your sacred heart actually sits in the body right in front of your spine. And your spine is called the golden rod. And it's called the golden rod because when your kundalini is activated, it starts in your root chakra, which is between your legs. It starts working up your spine. You start feeling the heat of your own life. And as the kundalini rises up your spine, it goes back down. Then it comes up, it goes back down, depending on your degree of self-love. And at some point, the kundalini rises all the way up your spine, all the way through the crown of your head and goes out. And then your kundalini is activated. And your kundalini is the degree of self-love that you're carrying in your body. And there's a certain level that you need to come to in order to have a full expression of self.
Wow.
So as you breathe, it will take you into your center. And if you've done meditation for any length of time, if you've had a chance to connect, when you connect to your center, that's home. Home is not outside of you. It's inside your sacred heart. And when you're in your center, it's called 0 point. When you're in your center, the feeling is wholeness and oneness. And everything is in such beautiful balance. And you can hear what's going on outside of you, but you're so in stillness inside your own being that it feels so wonderful to be in that space. That's home. So as you just consciously breathe, and the way I used to start, especially if I had a lot going on in my life, and I did for quite a while, is I would sit in the bathtub backwards with the shower running, and I would let the hot water run over me like a waterfall. And then I would start breathing, and I would just keep breathing, and with every breath, I would say whatever it was that I wanted to let go of. Like maybe it was fear. So on my out breath, I would telepathically be saying, I'm releasing all fear. And then on the in breath, it was just like ocean waves. That's how I would see it. So I'd see the ocean wave come and take out fear, and I'd see another ocean wave come in, wash all over me, and I would say love. And I would keep saying that until the fear was gone, and I was in love in my heart. And then I would pick the next thing. Maybe I was anxious, or maybe I was despair, or maybe I was frustrated, whatever it was. I would say whatever I wanted to release on the out breath, and then I would take in. And I would do that until I came to my center, and I was totally still. And that served me so well. So I suggest that you just breathe until you come to a place in your heart that you'd rather be in that stillness than anything out here. And once you know that place in you exists, you can get there very quickly.
So it's just a matter of practicing.
Yes, and intention. You have to have the intention to want to feel your own divine center. And what it really means is when you're connecting in your sacred heart to your divinity, there's no separation. You're in your divine flow.
So you're connected to the soul, to divinity directly.
Yep. Yes, you are.
And you're also grounded.
Yes, you are very grounded. And water is a tremendous conductor of energy. If you're ever having trouble being connected, connect yourself to water. It's a wonderful conduit for taking you into your center. Whether it's a shower or swimming or dancing in the rain or running your fists underwater or drinking water, water is a beautiful conduit to getting to your divine center.
Wow. Yes, I think many people are starting to realize that there is more to water than they've ever realized, especially the water that we have in our body. That Gerard Pollack has done lots of studies, that there may even be a fourth state, a crystalline state of water that scientists haven't really taken much notice of. And also that water has memory. I know many people who are doing quite a lot of work on water. And when we were speaking earlier, I was talking to you about this Hindu festival that comes around every once a year, where we actually have an idol of Ganesh, We pray to that deity for about 10 days. There are 4 separate types of pujas. And then what we do is, in India, it's a very huge festival that immerse that statue, that god, if you like, into the water. So what he does is he takes away all our obstacles to anything new and new beginnings happening for us. So that's very profound. There is this involvement of water. Water is involved, as well as powerful knowledge of Ganesh, how to dissolve issues and obstacles.
So wouldn't that be a lovely thing for people to know that they could call in Ganesha if they wanted to release something, and picture Ganesh, which looks like an elephant. Picture Ganesh actually taking everything into the water and dissolving it, and it's being transmuted into the heart of creation and cleansed and cleared into its next expression of love. That way it doesn't stay in the water.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's what happens. That's what Ganesh does. There's some things he does. He takes away all of that burden, if you like, of humanity, and he transmutes it somehow. And I was involved in this festival at my local Hindu temple, and one of my speakers, Sandra, was walking along on the beach the other day, and she saw this small stone, and it kind of looked like an elephant god, like Ganesh. So she posted a picture of it, and she said, "Look what I found." And then I found a picture of a white Ganesh with a peacock feather. And one of my other speakers, Karen LaGrange, has made me a pyramid, and she asked me, "What would you like in it?" I said, "I really like peacock colors." And she was okay. And I was describing how I'd found these 2 peacock feathers. Well, it was a peacock or 2 that my son was chasing about 15 years ago when we were at Kew Gardens, the Botanical Gardens. And we were gifted these 2 feathers. And as I was speaking to you earlier, you said because that's to show us from Lord Krishna that we were 2 golden and very special beings.
Yes.
And I still have those 2 feathers here with me. And wow. So in this pyramid, she put 2 peacock feathers, sort of a plastic peacock on one side of the face, and a white elephant. So that's sort of when I found that picture of a white elephant of Ganesha in a white body with a peacock feather stuck to his side of his head, I thought, wow, that brings the 2 together. And then Sandra found this stone on the beach, and that beautiful picture that I found was with his hand raised and a sign of Om, and it's like sending blessings.
Yes.
So I felt that was like blessings coming forward for my study summit, for my speakers.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And so we know that Ganesh is blessing us as we do this show and all of your shows that you're doing.
Yes, that's the intuitive hit I was getting, and that's why I was all of a sudden I started to search Google Images, and I came across this one, and I've never ever seen an image like that, and all my life I've seen images of Ganesh, and that was the very first time I saw one with a peacock feather.
Personal message for you.
What do you think that message is?
Well, like you said, that Ganesh is reminding you that he's with you, and that he knows you, and he's here to assist you in whatever way he can with your heart dream of doing this particular form of sharing with people. It's being blessed by Ganesh. That's a wonderful thing.
That's amazing, because for 2 years I've done this. It's called Visurgence, when we actually put the body of the idol into the 10th water, and we've been given a special permit to do that. And this special idol statue is brought from India. And it's a remarkable thing.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure being involved with that, and they do it with such grace and beauty. And I got to witness it twice, so I feel very blessed. Yeah. So you also wanted to talk about the trees and
Yes.
the tree beings
And
the special role elephants have, as well as whales and dolphins.
Elephants, dolphins, whales, and trees carry some of the highest frequencies on the planet. And, you know, the animal kingdom has a higher consciousness than we do. They know how to unconditionally love. We're not quite there yet. And so, you know, one of the beautiful things is the trees originally brought me into connection with Diane Robbins. And Diane Robbins' fourth book is called Tree Talk. And so I want to talk about and read from her book so you can have a deeper understanding from the tree's perspective what purpose they're serving on the earth. And it's profound. It's absolutely profound. And when you understand, we've been taught to look at things as separate, and we've been taught that this is better than this, and this is superior to that, and this is higher than this, and this is lower than that. None of that is the truth. Every form of life is a thread in the weave of life, and there is nothing, no thread that is more important than any other thread. So when you start to, and I have people quite often that will ask me, you know, how can you talk to a plant? And I'll go to somebody's home every once in a while, and I'll hear a plant say, I'm really thirsty. And so then, depending on my relationship with the person, I will either ask the person, or if it looks like a standard plant and I know I can't harm it, I'll go ahead and give it some of my own water and bless it and just not mention it to the person because maybe they're not coming from that thinking. But the same divine intelligence that made you also made every form of life. We're all made out of the same stuff, and that's divinity. Doesn't matter what you call it. And so you can talk to a crayon and have just as profound of an experience as talking to Yogananda, because it's the same divine intelligence you're speaking to. And this is no disrespect to Yogananda or a crayon, but the form doesn't really matter. You're speaking to and connecting with divinity in all of its ways, shapes, and forms. So it isn't any more surprising that trees would have something to say than any other form of life. And so I want to share quite a bit from Diane's book. And as I started to say earlier, one of the gifts that Diane's books present is her ego's not attached. And what that means is you're getting the information exactly the way it was given to her. She is not embellishing it. She's not altering it. She's giving it to you exactly the way she receives it. And the beauty of that is all of her books are encoded. And that means that their words that you're reading in her books carry downloads and activations and initiations put in there by the beings that are talking in that book. So when you're reading about Tree Talk, the trees actually downloaded, activated, and initiated the information so that when you read it, you are given information that would honor you and help you remember who you are. And so each of her books, Cetaceans are the dolphins and the whales, and she actually has a message there from the whale that Kiko, that played the part of Free Willy. She has messages in there, all kinds of messages. In Telos, we're going to talk about Telos and Hollow Earth. Telos was written through Adama, who is the high priest. And in Telos, Telos is the Lemurians that were left over from the cataclysm that happened about 200 to 300 years before Atlantis sank. Lemuria sank. And Lemuria was on the west coast of the United States, all the Hawaiian Islands, all the way to Greece. And Atlantis was kind of on the east coast of the United States, all the way to Greece. And both continents were misusing, both civilizations were misusing crystal energy. They allowed power to get to their heads, not all, just a certain number of them. But they started doing like an Atlantis, half people and half animals, things like that. So when Lemuria, a couple hundred years before Lemuria sank, the Lemurians knew it was going to sink. And so they went in through Mount Shasta. Many civilizations were already living inside of Mount Shasta and inside the earth. They went inside Mount Shasta and they created 5 levels of living. And more than 12,500 years, they're still living inside Mount Shasta, maintaining the 5th dimensional frequency of love. And why that's important is because here we are, 12,500 years later, going through the shift of the ages. And this is the first time on the planet that any civilization has ever been able to shift from 3rd dimension to 5th. And so they've been maintaining that frequency for us so that when this time came, we didn't have to recreate 5th dimension. They already had, they've been maintaining it. So some of the most remarkable things I feel about the Telosians is the harmony in which they live with every form of life. Their water sings, the trees sing, every flower sings, everything is alive with energy. It is not doused in chemicals or pollution. They do not disturb nature. They allow nature to be what it is, and they work around it. And so when you really understand the respect that they have and that they come from a love place more than 51% of the time. So when they communicate with you in 5th dimension, in Telos, they communicate with you sacred heart to sacred heart. And you're in your light body. You're not in your human body. You're in a lighter version of your human body. And you are able, when you're communicating sacred heart to sacred heart, you can see all the lives that being's living. You can see all the thoughts they're having. You can feel all the feelings they're having. There's no secrets. There's no secrets. And in Telos, as an example, they have no disease, no illness, and no aging. Because all of those things are caused by fear. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So we've been so indoctrinated in 3rd dimension to fear that fear's been dominating our life 96 to 97% of the time. So
and
we're
so relevant. It is so relevant for the times that we're living in as well.
Yes, it is huge.
It is so relevant.
So we're now having an opportunity, because we've created it, to shift from 3rd to 5th dimension. So December 21st, 2012, we shifted the humanity, not the planet. The planet's already been in 5th dimension. It never went down to 3rd. The planet's always been in 5th. It's the humanity that went down to 3rd. So on December 21st, 2012, we shifted from being in 3rd dimension into low 4th and to high 4th. And there's many levels of each dimension. And dimensions are not actual places with signs that say you're entering the 3rd dimension, you're entering the 4th, you're entering the... There's 13 dimensions, and the 13th is divinity, or God and Goddess, or Source, or all that is, or higher power, whatever you want to call it. The 12th dimension is Christ consciousness, and that's unconditional, unlimited love. And that's what Jesus and Mary Magdalene, who are one soul, came to teach, was about unconditional, unlimited love. So all of us are Christ consciousness, not just Jesus. We are all Christ consciousness, and that's what he came to teach, and Mary Magdalene. So in Atlantis and Lemuria, we hung out about in the 8th, 9th, and 10th dimension most of the time. So in the higher frequencies, beyond about 7th dimension, you're not in a body. You're a golden spiral of light. So I've been talking to the ascended masters and angels and people from the other side and things for over 67 years. And in all that time, most of the time they come to me as a golden spiral of light. And then they morph into what your Uncle Harry is, or who do you think Jesus is, or who you think Ganesh is. They will come and shift to what your belief system is, so that they can honor you. So the wonderful thing about Telos is that inside Telos, in these 5 levels of living, most of the animals that are extinct on the top of the planet, except for the dinosaurs, actually live inside inner Earth. And they all became vegetarians. And even the most aggressive meat eaters, it took them a couple of hundreds of years, but they worked that all out of their system, and they're all vegetarians. And they create everything there. And in Hollow Earth, they have what's called the Library of Pathologos. And the Library of Pathologos is a library that used to be the Library of Alexandria. It's a universal library. And Nikos is in charge of the Library of Pathologos. And so, whether you recognize it or not, if you are attracted to this call, whether you're here on the phone now, or whether the replay, or whether you hear about it, your energy would not be attracted to this information if you were not a very high vibrational being. And you're actually going inside the earth a couple nights a week while you're sleeping, and you're attending classes, and you're teaching some classes, and you're sharing with your Telosian family, your Lemurian family, and you're sharing in the library. And the library has everything on crystal discs. And what's lovely is you go into a section of the library, and it's a live theater. And so if you want to see what happened in 1702 as an example, you can punch it in, and the actual beings that lived whatever the scene is, or the thing is that you want to know about, actually come and perform it right in front of you. You actually see the way it really happened, not the way you've been told it happened. So it's quite wonderful when you realize that you're already going into Hollow Earth. You're already visiting Telos. You have been your whole life. You just do not remember it. So part of why Shashi and I are doing this is to help you remember who you are. We're not here to learn anything. We are everything. You're just here to remember. And we went through the veil of forgetting when we were first born. And we agreed to do that. And then we encoded in our sacred heart before we were born all the people, all the places, all the things, and all the experiences we wanted for this lifetime. We also encoded in our heart all the ways in which we would wake up and remember who we are. Because, see, every person's journey is an individual journey. There are no two souls alike. Each of us is an individual spark of divinity. And we actually have a flame of life in our sacred heart that is a flame on an altar. And that's actually your lifeblood. And that's your individual spark of divinity. And you have a gift in your heart, and it's the frequency of self-love you carry. That's the gift you're here to give. And so it doesn't really matter how you do it. What matters is the love that you put into what you're doing, and that's what you share with the world. It doesn't matter if you live in the middle of nowhere and all you see is woodland creatures, then your gift is to share it with the woodland creatures. It isn't about all the world knowing about you. It's not about that. So you have a heart song, and that's what your heart song is. It's the vibration of self-love you carry in your heart. And when you pass to the other side, you're in your light body. You're not in form like you are here. And how they know you on the other side is through the song of your heart, because everybody's song of their heart is different. And by the way, the other side, or heaven, is actually here on earth, just 3 feet off the ground. It's not up in the sky somewhere. It's right here. And what determines your ability to connect to the other side is your degree of love. It's just a more expanded vibration of love in what we call heaven. There's the Taj Mahal there. There's the pyramids there. They also have some other temples there, and halls of wisdom and hall of tones and all these different places that you can go. But they also have a lot of the highlights of Earth. So you encode all this in your heart, and you do that because you look through what's called a scanning machine, which is a blue glass dome hologram. And you choose your parents, you choose a theme of your life, you choose how you're going to be born and under what circumstances, and how you're going to pass and under what circumstances. You have about anywhere from up to 10 council of elders. Everybody has a different number. And you have these godparents, God and Goddess parents, who are wisdom elders who are there to assist you. And you write the script for your life, and you cast all the characters out of your soul family. And your soul family is more than 500 members on the other side. And what determines which soul family you're in is how much love you have in your heart. And so your soul family are all at about the same level of self-love. So you pick about 50 members from your soul family, and you cast them as characters in the play of your life. You're the creator of your life. Well, on December 21st, 2012, that all changed. That all changed. The I am presence of every soul on the planet had to agree to ascension or they couldn't stay here. Even if their human self is self-destructive, it doesn't matter. Their higher wisdom chose ascension. So whether they get it in this lifetime or they get it in 50 lifetimes, it doesn't matter. No soul is in competition with another soul. We each have our own individuated path, and we're here for the experience. We're not here to be perfect. We're already perfect. We're perfect divinity. We're here for the experience. So, in Tree Talk, I want to share with you some of the pages and some of the things that the book says, because she says it so beautifully. Tree means taking responsibility for the earth and the environment. That's what the word tree means. Here we go. I am Nikos, introducing you to the tree people living among you. The tree people are very lighted beings, and you can see how their auras fill the sky in towers of light waves radiating from their inner essences. They are tubes of light, carrying vast amounts of information and folklore to disseminate to humans on Earth. If only humans would tune into their frequency and connect with them on their own wavelength. This is easy to do. You just call on the trees and invoke their presence and ask them to transfer their library to your vast vault inside of yourself. Your vault is practically empty, so you have much storage room inside, just waiting to be filled with documents containing the mysteries of life. All the mysteries you haven't as yet been able to unravel in your closed states of existence. The trees are open to all and not closed in their belief systems or ways of thinking. They are open to the universe and to all life around them, and welcome information coming in from all sources and all places. They have a cataloging system built right into them that filters and sorts all the information into categories. And then these files, they file these categories away for easy retrieval, just like in the most modern of your libraries. Only the trees do it themselves, automatically, without any help from man-made technology. Yes, the trees are most magnificent beings, just waiting for you to retrieve all the information and knowledge of the earth that they have stored over the millennia for you. Between the trees and the cetaceans, you humans have more knowledge at your fingertips than you could ever read through. So we suggest you don't read it. Just imbibe it in your souls, and it will filter up to you just when you need it. It is that easy. Information at your fingertips, and no need to read your books anymore, unless you want to read them just for the pure enjoyment. But books are not really necessary. For all the stories of the earth and the universe are already written and bound and found in the library rooms inside the trees, just waiting for you to check them out. They will even give you a library card encoded with your very own DNA library number on it so that you can check out information anytime you desire. And there's no need to return it when you are done reading the records. You just keep it stored within you for future use, to retrieve when necessary. Such an easy system, isn't it? Way beyond anything that your technology could dream of. So trees are living libraries. And when you look at a tree, especially a large tree, and it's been cut down, you see the rings all inside the tree. That's the libraries that are being stored in there. Isn't that wonderful? So now let's talk about physical. What?
Wow. I just wanted to say, if anybody is driving, I don't think they should, or using machinery, because I've been feeling very powerful energies and yawns and
you want to allow yourself to
Is this normal?
Yeah, well, you have to remember, we're speaking to your sacred heart and we're telling the truth, and you're feeling it. And it's shifting you to the higher frequency that the trees are in.
Well,
So
ever
if
since
you're
this call
driving,
started, ever since you actually started speaking, I've been feeling that. And I just thought that just as you were doing that reading, it was even more profound.
yes, because
It was
it's
almost
the
as
truth.
if my mind was partitioning and coming out of the way.
Yes, exactly. Your ego isn't here. Your heart is listening, and your heart is honoring. That's where it's coming from. That's how
Sorry
you
to
know
interrupt,
truth.
but I just thought I'd mention it because it was such a different, profoundly different experience from anything else I've had.
Yeah, well, hold on, there's more.
Okay, but it's just so that, if any of the audience members are driving, I just like to make them aware that this could be very profound and shifting, so they should not do so.
Just ask them to have a Dhamma overlight them and to assist them with their driving so they get home safely or wherever they're going. So, now they talk about physical contact. We stand here as sentinels, just waiting for you to pay attention to us and to talk to us, to touch us and to wrap your arms around our trunks as far as you can reach. We long for this physical contact with you, this hands-on contact where we can embrace each other at long last. For our branches reach out to you to touch, and our leaves fall to the ground for you to pick up and hold. We are always reaching out to you with our songs that are carried on the wind. If you but tune your ears to listen, for we sing loud and clear, and our melodies are carried far and wide. And I want to share with you something that I read that I found amazing. And there were 3 times that I was guided to manage businesses. And what I really was guided to do there was to completely overhaul their whole business, solve all the problems, hand them back a healthy business, and triple their income, and then I left. So the last time I did this, I was managing a metaphysical bookstore in Great Barrington called Crystal Lessons in Massachusetts. And usually when I would finish a job, I would leave, and I would never go back because I was complete. I had done everything I needed to do. In this particular case, about 10 months later, I heard my guide say, you need to go in Crystal Lessons, there's something there for you. And I thought, okay. So I walked back into the store, I walked to the back where the books were, and all of a sudden a book leaped off the shelf and landed right on my feet. Now, a lot of you have had that experience. When the information is there for you, sometimes it has to really get your attention. And here was the book on...
I've had an experience like that when my son was
So you
2 years
understand.
old. Absolutely, because this book just fell out of nowhere, and my son crawled underneath the bookshelf to retrieve it for me, and it was a book about law, and I was actually thinking about what would I like to study. what would I like to step into? And that was something that opened up a whole new area. I started studying law.
Pretty wonderful, isn't it?
And yeah, I ended up as an advisor to government ministers working on a very specialist area of law, election law and practice. Yeah. Yeah, so I've had that experience, and maybe many of our audience members have.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. It's called synchronicity. And so this book was on the floor, and I apologize because I don't remember the exact name of it, but the book was A Psychic Speaks to Vegetables and Fruit. And I remember the time when I was working there, and this book came in by the author, and it was submitted to the owner, which authors would do, hoping they would carry the book in their store. And usually the owners didn't read them. You know, they had so many other things to do. They just put them on the shelf. And so I remember seeing that book before. And so I read the book. And there was an incident in there where a lady contacted this psychic, and she said, there's this huge tree out in the middle of my field. And I always feel bad because I think the tree is so lonely because there's no other trees around it as far as you can see. And she said, I always think I should plant another tree so it has a friend. So she said, could you find out if the tree is lonely? So the psychic goes to the tree. It was an old, big tree. And she asked the tree, are you lonely? And the tree started laughing. And I'm paraphrasing because I'm just remembering the gist of what I read. And the tree said, how could I possibly be lonely? My roots go all the way down into the earth. And my roots hold hands with other roots of other trees, and we hold hands all over the world together. How could I possibly be lonely? I'm always connected to my tree family. How beautiful is that?
That's beautiful.
So under the earth, their roots are all holding hands with each other. I just thought that was beautiful. And in the same book, they had 2 tulips that showed up in this lady's garden, and the lady lived in this house for many years, had never planted tulips. She couldn't figure out where they came from. So she called the woman came out, and she talked to the 2 tulips, and the 2 tulips said to her, we come from another planet, and we didn't know how to just be still. So we were made into flowers on another planet, so we had to learn to bloom where we're planted. And the tulip said, if we're here next year, we didn't get it. And if we're gone, we got it. We're back on our planet. And the next year, the tulips did not show up. So the reason this is important is because that's our job. In third dimension, our whole focus was on being busy, doing things, because we were taught by our parents, by the media, by our churches, by our school system, by our families. We were taught that we had to earn respect and we had to earn love. And we had to have value. And the only way we could have value is if we worked in the workforce and we helped somebody become a millionaire, or we became a millionaire. This is basically the gist of the bottom line. And so we're always thinking we have to multitask, and we have to be productive, and we have to learn how to do 5 things at one time. And it isn't about enjoying anything, and it isn't even about being in the moment and smelling the flowers. It's about getting it done so you can get on and do more things. And so busyness and doing comes from fear, thinking we're not enough. We're not enough. And so in 5th dimension, your job is to be. It's not doing, it's being. And this is what the tulips were at that point to come to. And so our job is to be the light of who we are, and that's enough. It doesn't matter what, pardon me?
No, I just say that's very profound.
It doesn't matter what you do. You could be a carpenter, you could be a sewer construction person, you could be a CEO of the largest corporation in the world, you could be a healer, you could be a bug collector. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is the love, the respect, and the sacredness that you value all of life, that's in the light that you carry. And so everything you do is infused with the light of who you are. That's your gift to the world. It is not to be something. It is to be who you are authentically, rawly, and truthfully, just you. It has nothing to do with... Go ahead.
So how does that fit into bringing in more joy, being in more joy, being authentically you?
Because when you're not looking outside of you to do something to feel important, you are connected in your heart, being literally fully immersed in your own divinity, and you're at peace. And when you are in your heart and you're connected to divinity, that frequency is what we call love. Well, joy is that same frequency. When you laugh, every cell in your body starts to heal. Laughter is the fastest way to heal. Joy, pure joy, is when you're in communion with divinity in your divine flow and you're feeling the bliss of who you are and that connection. That's what joy is. So
when you're in your divinity and you're feeling the bliss of connection.
Yes. And the more that you stay in your center, the more you feel that and the clearer you get when you're not there. Now, two gifts that we get for being humans on planet Earth in third dimension, and they're huge. And I call it, this is the Disneyland of choices. Because you can choose to be anything and have any experience on Earth, and you can have it. It doesn't matter what it is. And in our cycle of coming from pure divinity, where we're everything, and then we create a soul, and we create an I am presence, and we choose how many lives we want to live, and we choose what those lives are going to be. And then we write the script for our life. And we're living all our lives now. And so as you start having life experience, the very first lives you choose are lives being totally unloving, being murderers and rapists and pirates and things like that. Because you want to understand you've experienced one whole union of oneness, and now you want to experience complete separateness. That's what you have the opportunity to live, is all the different expressions of divinity in all of its ways, shapes, and forms. So you usually choose right off the bat the most unloving things you could do. And when you start caring, whichever life you start caring, then you start working your way back through the dimensions. And when you go from third to fourth dimension, you then finish off all your third dimensional lives. And you go fourth to fifth, and you clear up all your fourth dimensional lives all the way to 12th. And then when you finish all of your 12th dimensional lives of finally coming to a place of unconditionally and unlimitedly loving yourself, then you merge back into the I am presence, you merge back into the soul, and the soul merges back into oneness. And you're not an individuated expression of divinity anymore. And your gift as an individual to the collective of divinity is all the experience that only you have, that no other soul has had. And all of divinity benefits from that. And you hang around in oneness for a while, where you're not an individual anymore. And then you decide you want to have more experience. So you bring your soul out, you create your I am presence, you choose how many lives you want to live, and you choose what experiences you want to have. You pick another 50 members of your soul family, a different 50 members, and you're off and running again. So it's never about the destination. It's always about the experience of the journey of life. And that's why you hear people like Shakespeare and Rumi and people like that basically saying, take time to smell the flowers. We're here to experience all of our senses and all of our emotions, because you don't have a body except in third and fourth dimension. So one of the gifts we have here is all the senses. We get to taste and touch and smell and see and hear and feel. You don't have that in the higher frequencies because you're more and more and more into oneness. The second gift we get for being here is the contrast. The contrast is so huge. You have Hitler and Mother Teresa all in one lifetime. Anything you could imagine being, it's here. So, in order to step back into your mastery, and mastery just means coming more and more into your oneness. That's what mastery is. So, as you step more and more into your mastery, you start being more discerning about recognizing the quality of your choice. Because everything begins and ends with how you choose to respond to life. You're given the right of free will as a human. And that means you can choose to either look at something you're experiencing as benefiting you, or you can look at it as harming you. And the way that you look at something depends on what you get out of life. Because the law of attraction is a very impersonal law. It's a universal law. And the universal law is whatever you're thinking, feeling, saying, or doing, you're getting much, much more of it. And you're the one that decides. You're the creator of your life. So when you begin to understand and come to recognize that you're the creator of your life, and how you're responding to life is determining what you're going to experience tomorrow. And the level of self-love that you carry is what decides which potential you live tomorrow. You haven't created tomorrow yet. And the past, before we got on this phone, the past has already served you. There's nothing you need from it. It's done. All you have is right now in this moment where we're breathing. This is the life you want to live now. And if you live life well now, you will create a well life tomorrow. The more you love yourself today, self-love, the more loving your life will be tomorrow. You're the creator of your life. So you can have as an example somebody who has lung cancer, and one person can say, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I got out of my shell. I changed professions. I got more honest with my children and my family. I'm doing what I absolutely love now, and every day I'm grateful that I wake up and I can breathe and I'm alive. And you can have somebody else say, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. I lost my business, I lost my family, I lost my health, I'm just miserable. This cancer is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Well, the cancer is not the issue. The issue is how they viewed it. And that's what determines, through the law of attraction, what they will experience tomorrow. So as you're going through these cycles, you need to understand that you're always evolving and shifting and changing form. The nature of divinity is constant change. The ocean is never the same ocean every single second. It's changing constantly. You look at the sky, it's constantly changing. Plants are constantly moving, shifting, changing, growing, dying. They're in a constant state of change. We humans have been taught that what we want to do is be secure and be settled and be immobile and be safe and just stay mediocre. That's what we've been taught. And the exact opposite is the truth. Going into the unknown, what we call the unknown, trusting in the integrity of your soul, because no matter what you're experiencing, you've agreed to experience it, and you and your higher self created it, and it's benefiting you, even when it's painful. And sometimes the greatest gift you give yourself is going through something so horrendous that you say to yourself, I'm never doing that again. Boy, I got it. I have no interest in that experience again. I got it. I never have to, I got it. I really, really did. So the way you step into your mastery is by being mindful. And Earth, third dimension, gives us the largest opportunity out of all of our life experiences to have the greatest contrast, so that you making the decision to be loving when 90% of the population is being unloving takes much more mindfulness and self-love to make love be the basis of your life, not fear. So that's the shift we're going into. And on December 21st, 2012, when the I Am presence of every soul agreed to ascension, a couple of other things happened. All karma was dissolved. Because karma is only a third and fourth dimension thing. It's all dissolved. And all oaths and covenants and agreements of third dimension were dissolved. So when you understand that when you started out the next day, you have a clean slate. And we have even a cleaner slate now because we just ended a 9-year cycle, December 31st, 2016. And January 1st of 2017, we started a whole brand new 9-year cycle. So we're not dragging the last 9 years with us like we've been doing. And by the way, the energy we're feeling on the planet right now is the most intense energy we've ever had on this planet. It is the most light-filled energy, and that's why everything on the planet looks nuts. And the reason it looks nuts is because we're in a patriarchal society that's out of control. And the light of who we are is getting brighter and brighter with every breath. And so the light is now going down to our deepest core pains and fears on an earth level and on an individual level, and it's bringing it up so that we can see it, be aware of it, and if we want to, choose differently. So when you see all these things that are being brought out on the world stage, whether it's through the internet or the newspapers or people talking or whatever it may be, understand that in fifth dimension there's no secrets. And we as a society have been lied to a lot by every major industry. So when you see information about GMOs and the chemicals in foods and about being organic, and you see about child labor, and you see about, the religions and how religions were created by people, and predominantly they control people. In essence, that's basically what they do. There's few exceptions. Most of them have rules and regulations, and you have to do this, and you have to stand up 3 times and jump down 4 times and turn around, and it's on and on and on. So all of this was created by people. So when you start to begin to understand that we are the ones that created everything that we're seeing, and if we want to have world peace, we have to have peace within ourselves first. We are the creator. So we need to create our life in peace and harmony and balance. And that then starts overflowing. And you don't need 50% of the population to do it. That's not the way it works. One light creator, fully connected in their heart to their sacred heart, coming from a love space, is more powerful than 100,000 people that are not. That's how important you are. That's why we're doing this show, to help you remember the power of who you are. And if you can recognize this last 4 years, you've been given the opportunity to really look at your life objectively. Step out of your human suit, step into your master suit, and start looking at all of your beliefs, all of your ideas, all of your assumptions, all of your habits, all of your addictions, and start looking at each one of them and ask yourself, if this doesn't feel good in my heart, is it really benefiting me? Do I want to bring that into tomorrow? I don't care how long I've done it. I don't care who told it to me. I don't care the way it was presented to me. It doesn't feel good in my heart. So obviously, I've outgrown it. It served me, but I've outgrown it. It doesn't work for me anymore. So when you have a marriage collapse, when you have a job change, when your health breaks down, when you have, something changes, suddenly the house is no longer available, whatever it may be, what it's telling you is you've outgrown it. and your soul's been preparing you based on what you wanted to experience in this life to take your next step. But see, we're taught to be afraid of that instead of embracing it.
That's very profound.
And the truth, that's
very
the truth.
profound.
So if you, and Terry Cole Whitaker, who was a religious science minister that used to be on television in San Diego in the early 1980s, and she said two things that I always remember. She said, when everything in your life starts falling apart, let it. Because if you've been doing your prayer work, you cannot keep one foot in the past and keep one foot in the future and sit on the fence and be happy. You must take your foot out of the past, put it into the future, and go boldly forward and know that everything is designed for you. And I remember hearing that in the early 1980s and thinking, I can't imagine ever being in that position, but something about what she said talked to my heart, and so I put it in a compartment in my brain for later. And 10 years later, I went through exactly what she talked about, where everything in my life fell apart. And I walked away from everything. Everything.
Wow, that's so profound.
And I realized, because she said that, that was the answer, right? So I went into the unknown. I moved from California, where I'd lived for 49 years, to Massachusetts, where I'd never lived, and started all over again. And then when Hilarion asked me to go public and to do my work publicly, which for 40 years, I didn't tell anybody what I did. It was private between me and my divinity. And then Hilarion asked me to go public, and I was quite shocked. And he said, in a couple of years. And so I moved from Massachusetts, 2 places in Connecticut and Florida, all in 1 year. And I did not have the resources to do all this move. It all came as I was moving. And I ended up moving 14 times in 9 years because of the work I do. And each time, it was a moment's notice. I would wake up and I'd see the word complete. I'd realize I was done there and I was off to someplace else. And my sacred heart is how I knew what was right for me. And that's something I teach people, is how to get their own information out of their sacred heart. So, to take it to where we are now, you're in the perfect place at the perfect time. You look the way you do because you created you. You're perfect. And you need to be so grateful you have a body. Because without a body, you can't be here. So I don't care if you have cellulite. I don't care if you have wrinkles. I don't care if your body looks like you've done a lot of living. You have. Be proud of every scar that you have. Be proud of everything that you are. Because you made a decision to come here and make a difference and shift the planet. And that's a universal gift. As planet Earth shifts from 3rd to 4th, every planet in the universe moves up in orbit. As we shift from 4th to 5th, every planet moves up in orbit. This is a universal ascension, not just planetary. That's how important you are. That's how important you are. So the trees, getting back to our trees, our trees have more to say, and I want to share with you what the trees are saying. I have a list because I want to be sure I cover everything. Okay, here we go. All right. We are the trees. We too are record keepers. Our branches are layers with information. Our leaves are recording plates that capture your words and actions as you walk by. You can talk to us and we will record your words, even your nuances of speech. It is like turning a dial on a recording device and you can talk into it. We are better than that. Since we don't run on technology, it is built into us. Our leaves look thin to your eyes, yet hold volumes of information that appears automatically to you in vision and sound when you switch on to us. We're self-contained books holding the records of the earth. As our leaves sway to and fro in the wind, We are sweeping the ethers and picking up pertinent information that is necessary to sustain life. It is all encoded, and you can easily break the code. We can answer any question you ask if you just learn to hear us. We speak loud and clear to your heart, not your ear. We trees comprise a vast underground communication network that records all events and is privy to all that is about to occur. If you want to know what's going to happen anywhere on Earth, just stand next to one of us and put your hand on our trunk and ask your question, and we will answer. And I have to smile because when I first met Diane Lobbin and I went to stay at her house, and we were doing work every day, I asked her what was her favorite thing to do. And she said, my favorite thing to do is to lay on the ground with my back against my favorite tree and have a wonderful conversation. That was her favorite thing to do. So now I want to share about noise. Your living environment is not conducive to life. It is that simple. Life is not meant to be lived in noise. Everything in your life is now inundated with noise. Wherever you go, discordant sound, which you call music, is played to disrupt your thoughts so that you cannot even think through a thought anymore without being distracted. This is everywhere, from gas stations to restaurants to airplanes, and now people even play music outside their stores to lure people in. Well, if you cannot think, you will think you need to buy everything when you hear the music. The music is to deaden your senses so that you become random buyers to support the system that is robbing you of your life. To make you think, life is about buying things camouflaged against the background of music. Well, this music is programmed to take your free will choices away from you and make you slaves to the establishment. You keep buying your way deeper and deeper into slavery and debt, and making malls your aphrodisiac instead of nature. It is nature that will cure you and restore your senses and bring you the emotional balance your soul cries for. Malls are dead zones. Nature is a live zone. Do you see the difference? Well, you really cannot see. You have to go out in nature, and then you will assuredly feel it. So come outdoors to us, and we will put you back on track so that you can raise your awareness and contribute to life and not destroy it.
Wow.
Isn't that profound?
Very beautiful.
Okay. So now let's talk about the classrooms, because this is very interesting. And like I said, there's a lot of information, so I'm trying to be selective and just give you what's most important. Okay. All creation fits into one classroom. We, too, meet on the inner planes at night and attend the same classes as all creation attends night school in whatever form they are in. Remember, consciousness is one. I don't take up that much space on the inner planes. We all fit into the room where the lecture is given, and all of creation fit into one classroom. You are surprised? Yes, this is true. So trees go to night school as well. Here we go. Hold on. And all of Diane's books are beautifully illustrated with gorgeous, gorgeous pictures. All right, we trees are the ground crew. We are here in service of the Galactic Command too, only we are the ground crew who have dug in and live in our dugouts, so to speak, while doing the same job and having the same assignment as you, who walk on foot and travel on land. It's just that our physicality is stationed in one spot, while our leaves blow hither and yon in the wind, and our scent and voices travel far inland. For we communicate with all life on the surface and below the surface, just as you do. Roots. Our roots go down deep, so deep that etherically they actually penetrate through the earth and come out on the other side, hearing and knowing and bringing all information with us in our journeys as we sweep through Earth's steps. Quite interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting.
Okay, now, this is on warmth and cold. This is the trees talking about their families. You keep your family together, do you not? You don't let anybody remove your children from your home, do you? Well, we are your family, so don't let anyone remove us from our home, which is this whole earth. None of us should be removed from any of our homes for any reason. Wherever we are planted is our home, whether it's in a house, a forest, or in the ocean. This is our home, and trespassing is not part of the divine plan of creation. We trees don't come into your houses and take your children, do we? Or don't come into our communities and take us for firewood. There's abundant, free energy everywhere that is just waiting to be tapped. You don't need our bodies to light your fires, and we certainly don't need your bodies to give us warmth. We provide our own. In fact, the earth provides all that we could ever need for our growth and comfort, except for the carbon dioxide you breathe to us. The same applies to you. Your bodies were originally equipped with all the internal mechanisms you need to keep you warm in the winters and cool in the summers. But you lost this mechanism of innate internal regulation as you became more and more used to your city living instead of living on the land out in nature. You lost your connection to nature, which is your connection to yourself. Your bodies were meant to self-regulate your internal temperature to keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer so that you could live outdoors all year long. How about that?
Well,
okay, managing nature. We always leave nature for self. This is Nico speaking on somebody asking them, are you managing nature in the hollow earth or do you leave it untouched? This is Nikos. We always leave nature herself untouched as she is the best doctor there is to solve her own problems without our interference. She's been doing this since life on earth began, and who are we to step in and interfere? She has all the innate knowledge within her DNA and can administer all the remedies her trees and plants and flowers need in perfect dosages. Letting nature cure herself is one of the best remedies of all. We find that all our trees and plants and flowers in the inner earth and in Telos are always in perfect health, perfect shape, and perfectly glorious. We never tamper with what nature creates, and this is a secret. This is why you have so many problems growing your food, plants, and trees on the surface, because you are continually interfering with nature's plan that has been perfected by the Creator in advance of you inhabiting the Earth's surface. So, I have more to share. Is there anybody that is on the line that would like us to answer some questions?
I was just going to say perhaps it's time we could see if anybody wants to raise their hand and have a conversation with Judy. And this is where, Judy, you really shine, I think. When I heard you talk and I was telling some of you, this is the bit that really said to me, wow, that's amazing, and I need to get Judy on my show. So anybody happy to raise their hand? Well, we have some listeners, but they seem to be just done by what you've had to share. That's okay. Not happy to raise their hands. So perhaps you could now go on to describe your offer. I mean, in terms of your work and what people are saying, I've been to your website, justjudycali.com. There are so many testimonials there, and there's so many long ones. I'm just astounded by what people are saying about your work. And I posted, I think 3 of them in Facebook, so if anybody wants to have a look, they are in the group page. If you're not a member, you might want to ask to join the group. So, takes away the 5 ebooks by Diane Robbins. They are included in the package A.
Yes, they are.
And you've been reading from them, and you've been shifting me. I don't know how the audience members feel, but I have actually literally sat here listening shifting.
Yeah. Her books, like I said, are encoded. So if you read it now, and you read her book now, let's say you read Tell Us Now, and 2 years later you reread it again, it will update you on downloads, activation, initiations, where you are 2 years later. I call them the never-ending story. They go where your consciousness is at, and they take you to the next step. Every single one of her books. So it's wonderful because they're the never-ending stories. They will always assist you to take your next step, whatever that may be.
So when you're ready for the next bit, when you're ready for the next bit, next upgrade, you just access those books again, or when you're nudged to do so.
Yep. And it will automatically take care of you because it's encoded in the book. So one of the things we're offering is...
The ones that you're offering are not physical books, they're e-books, is that right?
Yes. Yes. And there's 5 of them.
And they're all encoded, so whenever you read them, you'll get the healing or the transformation that you need.
Yes. Every single one of them, every time you read them. And
so
by the way, just so... Go ahead.
Your package includes 5 of these, and it includes the ones that you've been reading from. It's got Tamil, Hollow Earth, and also
first one, Cetaceans.
Yeah.
The Cetaceans is her first book. Telos is her second. Hollow Earth is her third. Tree Talk is her fourth. And Crystal Kingdom is her fifth.
Right.
So we're also offering 150 Golden Keys prayer and activation for you. And what's amazing about this is they came to me one morning and they said there are 150 words that will attune you to a higher frequency automatically. And so they gave me the 150 words. And those are 150 keys to open the encodings in your heart for what you're ready for next. So this prayer includes downloads, activation, initiations, and assists you to remember who you are. You are guided to step into your pure sacred heart chamber and sanctuary. You are surrounded by your golden spiritual family, and it explains all the details of what the prayer includes and where it takes you. It's absolutely wonderful. And then the 150 words are included, and I have to laugh because the first one starts with breath, and the 150th word is divinity. The 2 most important words out of all 150. How wonderful that was created.
So that's your package A. And what is the activation about, Judy?
Activations are things that you planted and wrote into your agreement and you wanted to experience. And some things, example, how many of you hear a high-pitched whistling sound or a crackling sound, usually in your left ear? Because your left side of your body is your feminine side, and that's your side of receiving. The right side of your body is your masculine side, and that's your side of sending. So we used to get between 3 and 5 in the morning, this huge high-pitched whistling sound. And that was your higher self downloading what you're going to need next. Activations are where you've reached a certain level that you've outgrown, and you're now ready to be activated frequency-wise into what your next frequency will be. And initiations are where you've reached a level of spiritual maturity and you're ready to step into being more expanded of who you are, and you're taken through a ceremony. So those are the 3 things that your higher self automatically takes care of. And in my work, even when I'm working with people on a one-to-one, I work with people all over the world. Each session is totally different because I'm speaking to your sacred heart and your I am presence, and I'm not in the way. I'm truly giving you what your higher self is asking me to give you that you're most ready for. And each person is at a different place. So it's quite wonderful because I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. So it's fun when we do sessions because you and I are creating it. It will never be created again. And the messages we're getting are sacred messages for you. So it's a wonderful place to come from.
Yes, and I've been reading about some of the channeling that you've done for people, and you've done some for me, and they've been very, very profound, very deep messages.
It's fun.
It certainly is.
And can I talk just a little bit about what we need to step into?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
As I started explaining that December 21st, 2012, all these changes happened. And what happened was our focus for the first 3/4 of our life was taking care of everybody else. And we were last on the list. And that's now all changed. When the I Am presence of every soul agreed to ascension, that meant that we, those of us that are here to lead the way, and that's you, if you're listening to this,
yeah,
we were given the opportunity that now we come first. We're not to put anybody else ahead of us anymore. Their I Am presence is just as wise as ours, and their journey is spelled out for them, and they have the right to listen or not listen to their wisdom. Whatever journey they're on, they're being prepared for it, and it isn't our need to sacrifice ourselves anymore to make somebody else more important. That's not our job anymore. Now, if I see a 4-year-old running out in the street, obviously I'm going to help the 4-year-old. So you need to be discerning. But you no longer need to be put down, criticized, called names, be given information that isn't truthful. You don't have to do all that stuff to make somebody else happy. No more. Now you come first.
Right.
And the way you know if you're living your highest potential is if you feel good in your heart. It's real simple. If you don't feel good in your heart, then find a way to course correct what you're experiencing so that you find a way to feel good, and that will take you on your path of destiny. It's that simple.
Right.
Truth is very simple. So one of the ways Jesus has been telling my clients for the last year, almost a year and a half, is to go take $25 and go to a dollar store and buy toys and start
Play
playing.
with toys. Yes.
Play with toys and start dancing and singing. Watch children. Children and puppies and kittens are the greatest instructors because they live 100% in the moment. They're authentic, and they make playing their most important thing. So watch what
this is where we
children
need
do.
to change. Absolutely. This is where we need to change. We need to step into that childlike beingness of being in this area.
And many of us, we've forgotten how to play.
Wonder and play. Yes, we've forgotten.
Yeah.
It's got what it is to be truly alive.
We've been
and
so
when you are
busy.
childlike, that's when you are truly alive.
Yes. And we've been so busy being serious, getting the job done. Well, we got the job done. We did it. The planet's shifting. We did it. Now we need to take care of ourselves. We need to rest. We need to heal our wounds. We need to start to play. We need to have fun. Because the dolphins came here to remind us that we're divine beings of joy. That's what they came to remind us. And if you watch dolphins, they're leaping, they're swimming, they're twirling, they're dancing in the water. They're getting your attention any way they can in a joyful manner most of the time. They came to remind us we're divine beings of joy. That's what the children and the puppies and kittens know.
That's just astounding. So I'm going to ask once more if anybody wants to perhaps post a question in the webcast or raise their hand. No, I think you just shifted it so profoundly that you can listen.
That's okay. We're here to serve, however we end up serving. So I'd like to share the Creator's Symphony. even one tree, you lose so much. We each carry a vast amount of information and wisdom that we are here to share with you. It is like destroying a room in a library. Every time you cut down a tree, it is akin to losing another room in a library or losing another part of yourself. For all species on Earth carry parts of others in their DNA. And when one species is lost, it is like losing a part of yourself. Remember, we are all one unit of light directly connected to the Creator. We all were made to function as one chord, playing one melody as we individually play out our lives on Earth, in harmony and balance and staying in key with one another. This is the symphony of life. Pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
So
Judy, I think we haven't quite got your page ready. So what we're going to do is post the link of your package tomorrow in the Facebook group. Share it with your group as well, with your friends. So what I'd like to find out is, so when they get the package B, they also get a one-to-one session with you.
Yes.
And those sessions can be 60 minutes plus. So
yes.
you want to describe for the people who want to go forward with that, what that involves, and how big that could be, something that they may want to take advantage of.
When I get their information, I contact them, and we set up a time. And the way I work, I can't speak for others, I can only speak for myself. I go by what feels right in my heart, and that's why I put 60 plus. Because if I'm working with you and I'm being given tremendous information from the other side, or I'm being given a healing technique to do with you, or I'm being given information from another life you're living, I'm not going to stop at 60 minutes and leave you hanging. I don't do that. I finish with whatever the theme is they're giving me. So I make sure when we get off the phone, you've been given all you need to shift to your next step, whatever that is. So whether I'm on the phone with you for an hour and a half, or I'm on the phone with you for 2 hours, or I'm on the phone with you for 75 minutes, it doesn't matter. I make sure that the information they're giving me, I completely give to you that you're meant to have at that time, as long as that feels good to you. And I honor that. So it's a very sacred commitment that I make from myself to your heart, from my heart. And in 67 years of receiving messages from the Ascended Masters and Angels, talking to people on the other side, talking to crystals, talking to plants, talking to animals, talking to star brothers and sisters, I've never once received any message that was unloving, critical, or judgmental. Not one. Because I work with the highest frequency of the soul. And so all I'm in is the frequency of love. That's why when I'm channeling, especially when I do example email sessions, which are for people that live in areas where they live so remote that it's very difficult for them to get phone connection, I make sure when I'm doing that I'm fully connected to their I am presence, and we're working as one unit. And I am so focused on the information, I can't stop and start typing because I'm in a whole nother frequency. So I have a lady that types for me, and as I'm speaking, she types it. And I'm 100% there. I also do not do sessions unless I am 100%. It's not fair to the person. So if I'm sick and I'm, sleepy, or I'm exhausted, or I am having a sore throat, or I'm not feeling well, I would rather reschedule or do it later in the day. I want to be 100% there for the person. That's very important to me. Yeah, very important to me.
All the testimonials I read on your website of people who've done one-to-one sessions with you. And,
yes.
We did one with me earlier. It
yes,
was very profound. It was very profound, and And I got so many insights of my loved ones on the other side. And also you spoke to me about 3 near-death experiences I've had that shifted me and shifted my consciousness. And one at age of 4, which I wasn't even aware about, which I was blocking. I know about 2, but I do remember that after they happened, I did shift into a higher octave of consciousness. And I don't necessarily remember what happened, but I do remember that there was something very profound that happened. And the things that you've shared with me about the connection that I have with Mother Mary has been very deep, and also with Lord Krishna. So that's been very, very
that was
profound.
beautiful.
That was. And you think in all the years that you've worked, you've never had anything like that come through. So I'm really honored.
Because I'm not attached to what comes out, I get amazing information that startles me. And I'm always amazed at the amount of amazing ways that they get this information to me, and the beings that contact me. And a lot of times I'm getting information for the first time. And you would think out of 67 years it would be old hat. But every single time, it's an entirely new experience. And isn't that really living in the present moment and allowing yourself to enjoy the journey, right?
Yes, because Lord Krishna appeared to me when I was around 23. It was a very profound experience, and he just asked me a simple question if I wanted to win the lottery. And I said, no, I want my mother's help. And and I was asking my mother on the other side if she knew that's what I'd asked for, because Lord Krishna was also around when we did our sessions. And you said, yes, of course, she knows that.
Yeah. And when you do sessions, it's not just me giving to the person.
Yeah.
It's an equal exchange. There's a gift that I receive from the client. There's a gift that I receive from the client, and there's a gift that they receive from me. And we agreed to have this conversation before you and I were ever born.
So it's a divine timing, divine appointment.
Yep. And when you begin to surrender your fears and your doubts and your concerns, and you start trusting in the integrity of your soul, and you know that whatever it is you're experiencing, you felt on some level you would benefit from, or you wouldn't be experiencing it. When you come to that place of knowing and understanding, a lot of the stress leaves. Because you begin to trust in you, and you begin to trust. And when you recognize that people being unkind to you, being mean, saying unkind things, calling you names, they're not seeing you. They're seeing you through the filter of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own self-hatred. It has nothing to do with you. They can't see you clearly because they've got too many blocks of unloving energy blocking their vision to see you. So they see you the way that they see themselves. So it's really important when somebody says something unkind to you, or somebody calls you a name, or somebody does something out of the blue, you need to be discerning enough to recognize this isn't really about me. They would have done the same thing if my name was Sally Schwartz. It has nothing to do with me. They needed to get angry. They needed to express themselves. They needed to have this experience, and it really isn't about me. And that's where your mastery comes in. When you're able to discern when you're receiving something and you recognize this isn't my stuff. This is their stuff. Now, somebody that you trust and value and has your best interest at heart comes to you and says, I'd like to discuss something with you. I've noticed in the last month or two you seem to be more tired than usual, and I'm noticing X, Y, Z, and I'd really like you to go get a checkup. Then you're going to listen, because that person loves you and cares about you. And maybe they're seeing something that you're not recognizing, and you want to sit down and give it a thought and ask yourself, does this feel good to me? But for people who randomly are dealing with you, you're working with people, you're living in neighborhoods with people, these people are seeing you the way they see themselves. So do not allow them entrance into your heart energy. Bless their journey. Send them love. Take the high road. Because they're already struggling, or they wouldn't have the need to lash out. So one of our gifts is seeing all of life and all souls as the golden divine beings that they really are, not the human choices that they're making. You see the truth of who they are. That is one of the gifts of mastery. The other is standing in our truth and being who we are, regardless of how somebody else perceives it. And the third thing is recognizing when patterns come up that is not feeling good, whether it's an anxiety or a fear or an emotion or a thought. Start laughing. Just start laughing. Because when you start laughing, it breaks the energy up and the pattern can't continue. And then you start choosing to put your energy into the exact opposite direction of what you choose, not what you don't want. That's what we're being asked to do now, to be more conscious, live creators. And Mother Mary told me in 2007, you're not light workers anymore. Light workers were the busy bees taking care of everybody, and you were last on the list. You're now light creators. She said, Judy, get up off your knees. You've been in humble servitude for too many lifetimes. Get up off your knees and stand in your truth and be the light creator that you are. And I thought I paid attention, and 6 months later she came back to me and said, Judy, get up off your knees. So she hasn't come back since, so obviously I got up off my knees. But light creator, stop and think the difference between light worker and light creator is huge. She also said,
yes,
I would suggest that you remove the word work from your vocabulary as much as you can, because if you feel work in your heart, does that feel good to you? And I said, no. It feels like I have to push, I have to force, I have to work hard, I have to work for somebody else, I have to look at a clock, I have to pay attention, I have to work even when I don't feel like working, and I have to do things many times I don't even want to do. And she said, okay, let your heart be the barometer for what's truth for you. So she said, how does joyfully creating feel? I said, it feels like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and I open my wings and I fly, and I can go anywhere I want to go. And she said, joyfully create your life, and joyfully create your day, and joyfully create in life and engage in life instead of working as much as you can. And you will shift your experience.
That's so profound, and
it's huge.
and something we can all do, something we can all step into. And shift, make that small, slight shift. That will make all the difference.
So the important thing here is to start taking responsibility for what's in your life. And instead of judging it and criticizing it, look at it and say, okay, this is what the old energy it created.
Yes.
And I'm choosing one area that I would really like to create a little differently. And I'm now going to fill that with love. So the example is, anything that you resist persists. So if you have, let's say, an ache in your body's trying to get your attention, and it starts with a discomfort, then it starts adding irritation, then it starts adding pain, then it starts adding more pain, and it's trying to get your attention that something's out of balance. That's what illness is. It's your body's way of saying you're out of balance. So, if you have a pain, rather than going and taking aspirin and trying to get rid of it, tell that part of your body, thank you for coming to me and making me aware that I'm out of balance. And I'm giving you as much love as I possibly can so that we come more into wholeness. That's what I'm doing. And take that moment and send love to your whole body and extra love to the part that's bothering you. And keep embracing your pain until it dissolves. Don't push it away.
No.
Because then you're going to have to create even more extreme to get your attention. So sit down with you after this call and take your body and love yourself. Put your arms around yourself and love yourself. And tell your body, thank you for being here for me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to experience life. Without you, I couldn't. And I love everything about you. And I'm going to do my very best to listen to you more, to pay attention to the inner promptings I'm getting from you, and to make healthier choices and healthier decisions, and to be more loving with you and more patient. That's what I'm choosing to do. Thank you for all the time that you've gone out of your way to give me the attention so I could recognize something was out of balance.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, this is what it was my vision when I created this transformation to joy. Simple tools that people can use. It doesn't have to be hard. Transformation can be just changing and shifting the thought pattern.
Yep.
And doing one thing different. And then another thing different.
Nikos is standing here, so I'd like to very quickly tap into what it is he would like to share.
Yes, of course.
To all my fellow family members, whether you know that or not, you are embraced in my heart. I watch over you, and I pay attention when I notice something that you could use assistance with. I am right here, like you have a right hand and you have a left hand. Think of me as one of your hands. I'm always right there with you. All you have to do is take me by the hand, as friends do, and share with me from your heart what you're feeling, what you think you need, and what it is that's disturbing you or delighting you. I'm here for happiness as well. And share with me, as you would share with your brother, what you want to experience with me. And I will be there for you 100%. It is with profound grace and joy that I stand here today, being able to address you and talk to you. And for some of you, you've never heard from me before. But I assure you, you've always been in my heart, and you are part of my family. And I've been aware of you even when you have not consciously been aware of me. In the next 2 weeks, I will be visiting each person in their dream state, and I will honor a particular issue or situation that you are experiencing that you would like assistance with, and we will go through it together. So take me by the hand and lead me in the way that I can be of service to you, and we can join in a hug as family and know that we have each other. We always have each other, and we always care about each other, even when I'm remembering and you may not at this point. Your heart will hear the whispers of my soul. Now he's stepping back. And we are done. I just saw the word complete. We're finished.
Wonderful. We've gone for over 2 hours.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
And we've had such a lot of amazing content. And I have heard you speak on other shows, and I have listened to the replays, and I think so profoundly shifted, but not as much as I was today.
Well, I've been shifted today too. That's how it works.
Yeah. So thank you for answering my call when I reached out to you to come and speak at my TED Summit. And my heart did jump for joy when you made contact the other day, and I thought, yes, I would so love to share Judy Cali with my audience. And to have you quite early on in the series as well. It's such a pleasure. Yes.
It's a pleasure for me too. And
right.
I thank all of your listeners for the energy that they share.
Yes. We certainly had two, maybe three, or even four members with us for most of this call. So I'm deeply thankful they held the space for us as well. And that the energy of this call will be there in the replays as well. And whenever anybody listens, they will get the shifts as well, the profound shifts. And even if they're driving, they'll get to safety.
And we thank Diane Robbins for her contribution as well.
Yes, Diane Robbins as well, and also Miko for coming through as well. So that's, as you say, you never know who's going to show up when you have
I never know.
A conversation. Yes.
But I do say namaste to everybody, and I thank you for the opportunity for us to be in our hearts.
Well,
have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I'm just going to finish the call, and as soon as I can, I will post up the replay, and we'll put the offer page together and post it to Facebook tomorrow. So anybody who wants to go forward with Judy's work, they may do so. Thank you. Bless you all. Bye-bye.